Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And top of the morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And it's a middling kind of day. It's a bit wettish out there, but it isn't raining. So that's a good start, isn't it? Now then, this morning, Sri Lanka wakes up to the news, various bits. First of all, Namal and 5 others arrested and remanded. Then we have the Litro gas boss who's remanded till this morning, and we are told that people from Taiwan and from the United States and so on are all winging their way towards Sri Lanka to investigate what on earth went on with this breaking in of or hacking of a bank, and some of that money appearing in various bank accounts in Sri Lanka, including, it is said, the bank account of Mr. Shalila Munasinghe, who's, of course, the chairman of Litro Gas, appointed, we may add, during a time when the former Minister of Finance, Mr. Ravi Karunanayake, was in the driving seat. And the Daily News also has a headline about Namal and the 5 others fixed for trial. And the Island is, they have an interesting story. There's something, it says, AM tells SASG to ask PM. Goodness me. Who on earth is AM? What is AM? And tells SASG. I don't know what that means.
That's Senior Additional Solicitor General.
Right. And so on that note, it's time to introduce our guest, isn't it? It is none other than the news editor of the Island newspaper, Mr. Shamindra Ferdinando. Jolly good morning to you, Mr. Ferdinando.
Morning for us.
Wonderful to have you here. Now, your paper, your headline. AM tells SASG to ask PM. 1, 2, 3 lots of abbreviated initials now. What on earth? What is AM? Is that morning?
Arjuna Mahendran.
Arjuna Mahendran. SASG is?
That's Dapula Tidivera.
Senior?
Additional Solicitor General.
I see. And PM?
Prime Minister Vikram Singh.
Oh, so it's nothing to do with afternoon, not the clock. You're talking about the Prime Minister, PM.
Certainly, yes.
Right, wonderful. Because this is all relevant, isn't it? Because during this commission we had things like AM, RW, RK, PM,
Yes.
AA. I mean, what is this? Alcoholics Anonymous? Right, okay. Now then, the question I want to pose to you, Shamindra Ferdinando, is if you cast your mind back to the corp headed by the Honourable Dew Gunasekara, during that time, I remember, and he was here on this program, Mr. Dew, and he said that the Prime Minister had asked or had said that he wanted to come before Corp, and Mr. Gunasekara said that there was no mechanism to permit him to summon a minister before Corp, and that a minister could be summoned by the Speaker, but not by the Chairman of Corp. So that's one part. Now, my question to you is, in that case, if that's the case, if the PM did not have any if there was no mechanism to summon him, in that case, what about the present Commission of Inquiry that's going on? There is provision under Section 16 to have, there are 3 categories of people who are named, people who are implicated, and others who, I presume, can make an application to the commissioners to ask if they can come because they want to say they've been mentioned or whatever. Now then, under that system, why can't the PM give an explanation, at least in the interest of democracy and, to help the Commission with their inquiries?
For us, first of all, I must tell you,
yes,
the COPE and the Public Accounts Committee have no power to summon a minister.
Okay.
So there's something terribly wrong with our 70-year-old parliament. We celebrated 70 years of democracy in this country last week. I raised this issue with Mr. Diogunasekara, and he told me that they have no power. That means the COPE and the PACT have no power to summon ministers.
Right.
So there's something terribly wrong in our system. Right? What is the point in having two parliamentary committees to inquire into the conduct of officers in charge of government enterprises? If they are unable to at least record a statement from the minister in charge. So, in other words, for all these years, these people, the parliament has not taken measures to amend the standing orders. So even today, they cannot summon the minister. But coming to your second question for us, now the Presidential Commission cannot ignore a request made by Mr. Arjuna Mahendran. Now yesterday, when
what request?
No, I'm sure if you go through the island story written by Sham Nwan Khanewatta, when Mr. Dappula Dilivera raised a question, a series of questions in respect of a statement made by the Prime Minister in Parliament regarding this scam, Arjuna Mahendran told Dappula Dilivera that those questions should be posed to the Prime Minister. Right? Now, it's a very interesting situation.
He's a marvellous chap, this Arjuna Mahendran, isn't he?
No, I mean...
because he's now telling the court what they ought to do.
No. See, what Arjuna Mahendran said was, those questions should be directed at the Prime Minister. So it's up to the Presidential Commission to decide whether they want to request the Prime Minister to come before the Commission. Because Mr. Mahendran feels those questions should be directed at the Prime Minister, because if the senior additional solicitor general wanted to raise issues pertaining to a statement made by the Prime Minister, I think it's better the Commission request Prime Minister to come.
Yes, okay. We don't want to teach these the justices what they ought to do, but or what they should do. That's up to them. But come on, we don't need any rules and regulations or anything. Here we have the Prime Minister, who's made all sorts of statements, and within Parliament, then he's issued a statement to the media saying, "Oh, I want to go before COPE, but they're not inviting me," and all that sort of things. Don't you think the Prime Minister should go before this Commission voluntarily? There is provision for him to do that.
Yes, certainly.
There is provision.
Yes.
Why can't he go in the greater interest of, forget about democracy and the accountability and all that. He made various statements, right? And he needs to go before the Commission, at least voluntarily, and make himself heard.
Well, for us, I don't think there's, you are trying to put pressure on the Prime Minister.
I'm merely making a suggestion that we ought to consider it.
I think for us, now it's up to the Commission, because Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor, says he has told the Commission that if they want to raise certain issues, they should raise it to the Prime Minister. So it's up to the Commission. Now they have summoned Mr. Malik Samarvikrama and the UMP chairman before the Commission today. So they'll have to take a decision.
Is he still the chairman? No.
Who?
Malik.
Yes.
Right. Okay, we'll come to him in a second.
He's the chairman.
Let's come to that in a minute. But,
and there's another chairman under serious trouble now.
Yes,
the chairman of the Hansa party.
Yes.
And
Mr. Mulsingha. Now we'll come to, there's so many things here. We only got 27 minutes. Right? Now then, the thing is, Mr. Wickremesinghe rather gallantly and said, like a bit of a Tarzan really, he came to Parliament and he said, "I ordered the change of the system. There was a lot of corruption in the past, And that is what the primary dealers are saying. So I ordered the change in the system. Now, this is the system that nearly 2.5 years later has been found to be utterly useless. It has cost us so much of money.
Utterly corrupt.
It is utterly, apart from being utterly corrupt, the final bill has been estimated by some to be in the region of 940 billion rupees, I believe, right?
Yes.
940. That's the final bill. All the interest rates went up, everything went up. You could say that the switch in the system has caused, they've been playing pandu with the people's money, right? At least for that purpose. Now, you see, just consider what's happened now. The central bank have very quietly, the monetary board, under the guidance of the monetary board, have gone back to the old system. What does that say? After all these losses, after several people enriched themselves, right, and the public have lost money, they've gone back to the old system. At least to explain that what he did. Did he call for reports? Did he analyze the effects of what has happened after his instructions? And he has no legal right to make that anyway. He can make any suggestion. Even the T-boy at the ministry could have done it. But it is the monetary board who should have made a decision.
Yes.
And that was violated.
So for us, now the commission can request the Prime Minister to come.
Why can't the Prime Minister just wake up and say, I am a person who may appear before the Commission, and therefore I'm writing to them and saying, I want to come.
For us, in our country, politicians do not resign. Politicians
just
do
carry
not
on.
They just carry on. So just don't just target one politician. There's no point in doing that because the entire system is corrupt, right? Because the former president was accused of having bank accounts, overseas bank accounts, right, worth 18.5 billion US dollars, right? So if you just think of the parliament today, you will realize that the entire system is corrupt. All the people, all the honorable members of the parliament have, they have taken duty-free car permits, they have sold them, they have, taken various things.
They played pandu.
Yes. So, there's no point in just saying, right, the Prime Minister did it. You have to think about the political parties also. Right, the UMP a few weeks ago celebrated 71st anniversary.
Yeah.
Now what has happened to the party? Right? So they are in serious trouble.
Yes.
See, what you don't realize is, what people don't realize is that the first bond scam took place in February 2015.
Yeah.
The second one in March 2016, and the president appointed this commission in January 2017. Why on earth this Yahapala government waited so long? When the media, when the civil society...
I'm surprised that you don't know the answer to that. Do you know why? Do you know why I'm surprised?
Please tell me.
Because...
I'm surprised actually.
The president, God bless him, was out of this country at the time. 2015.
No,
wait a minute.
He had plenty of time.
Yes. No. Wait a minute. Let me finish. He's alerted to this some sort of some sort of unhappiness with the first bond. Immediately he says, "I'm going to appoint an inquiry." Guess what RW did? He immediately jumped and appointed that absolutely wonderful 3-member lawyers committee. The Pitipana committee. That's what the Prime Minister did.
But
and
that's
even
no excuse.
That's no excuse. But that's what he did. Right. That's what he did. By the way, our viewers, 0772 300 305 is the number for the SMSs to come right here. Don't call it. Just send us your SMSs. We've got various questions actually. One of them says, the Bond Commission is systematically eliminating the top leadership of the UNP, leaving their voters no other option but to vote for him at the next presidential election.
Who's he?
This is somebody called Peggy.
No, I mean, who's him?
Him.
I mean, eliminating the top UAP.
Well, I don't know. It says eliminating.
It must be a mistake.
It must be a mistake. But what they're saying is that they're putting people into such into a tight corner that they've got no other option but to vote for the UMP anyway. That's one thing. Another one says, now there could be a clue to where the money in RK's vault originated from. I think this is in response to the Taiwan bank hacking and the money ending up in Sri Lanka. Now there could be a clue to where the money in RK's vault originated from. I don't know who RK is. Does anybody know? Another one. I am 100% sure nothing is going to happen with this bond scam. We are wasting our time.
I don't agree with that.
No, we can't. And another one says the president wanted AM to be removed. I believe Arjuna Mahendran to be removed.
No, he appointed him. No, he appointed him.
See, he appointed him at the beginning. He appointed him at the beginning.
See, that on a request made by the Prime Minister, the President appointed him. So, Faraz, the first mistake was
do you remember what
they appointed a Singaporean. It was the first mistake.
No, but that's you know, there's nothing in the law to say that you can't have a foreigner. After all, the founder of the central bank, John Exeter, he was in Sri Lanka.
We cannot have a foreigner as the governor of the central bank.
What's the rule?
Can't. I don't think so.
That's not that. I think the people have gone into.
I think the government is equally both parties.
What is wrong is that they chose a Singaporean.
Both parties in this ruling coalition, the UNP and the SLP, equally responsible for this situation.
Right, okay, they're equally responsible, but the person who changed the system, who wanted it changed, he must have it has got to be my way or no other way. Right, and he insists, and this is what we've happened. Now then, in that same speech, 17th of March 2015, these dates are etched in our memories, all right? In that same speech, the dear Prime Minister is at great pains to tell us who was at this meeting, right? He gives us all the names of all the people who were there at the meeting, all the important big people. But he forgot, or he omitted to mention Malik Samaravikrama. What on earth was the then chairman of the United National Party, not an appointed MP, not a cabinet person or anything of the sort? What on earth was he doing at a meeting discussing state finances? What is his speciality? You know, the Prime Minister asked the question in that same speech. He said, does anybody know about bonds? So did Malik know about bonds? Is that what it is? Why did he leave his name out? And today we know what's happened. Today, Malik Samaravikrama is being summoned before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to help them with their inquiries. And so is the Secretary General of the United National Party, who also happens to be a cabinet minister, Kabir Hashim. Right? All of these people speak about 15 billion. All right? They talk about 15 billion as being the requirement of the day. Lo and behold,
15 or
billion.
75?
No, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that, chum, you know. 15 billion, right? Everybody says, talk about the same thing. That meeting, we've got various documents, right? They discuss, they say they want 15 billion immediately. All right. Even the Prime Minister says 15 billion. And then, about 2 years later, a crisp piece of paper on official letterhead, signed off by undated, unreferenced, a sheet of paper that's purportedly issued 2 years later, 2 years before, or nearly 2 years, comes into play. And there they talk about 75 billion. It's like a little reference letter that Japanese consultant wrote to Mr. Lakshman Kiriyalla, saying that Fujita is a very good company, blah, blah, blah. All right? So at least that letter had a date and a reference. This one had nothing. And it was, if you were, sorry, I do beg your pardon, if you were to believe Arjuna Mahendran's evidence at this commission, he said the letter was crisp, notable for its crispiness, because, and ladies and gentlemen, all of you who live in Colombo 7, why don't you listen to this bit? He said that is crisp, it is crisp because it was kept in his safe in an air-conditioned environment. How wonderful. The only two people in this blessed country who knew about this 75 billion is Ravi Karunayaka and Arjuna Mahendran. And Ravi K says he gave the letter to Arjuna Mahendran at Arjuna Mahendran's request. Can I go and get a letter from somebody, undated and unreferenced, probably typed up and printed by, unfortunately we're not in the day and age of those typewriters where you can do that.
What's the question?
The question is...
You must ask me a question.
I am asking you a question.
You are making a statement.
I have made a statement. I want to remind you.
You are angry with some people.
No, what I'm saying is that people, these people in high office, think that they can get away with it and that the people
Not only them, for us, so many other people.
No, but doesn't make it right. The problem is that today Malik Samaravikrama is there, and so is Mr. Kabir Hashim. One is the former chairman of the United National Party.
No, he's the chairman.
He is the chairman of the United National Party, and at the time that this thing happened, in February 2015, he was only the chairman. No experience, no nothing. His only qualification appears to be a friendship with and an association with the United National Party. He's appointed on the national list, and he is having a very senior ministerial role, right?
He was never, for us...
And the Secretary General of the United National Party.
He was never in the local government system, never in the provincial council, never in the parliament, but straight, he was appointed as a minister. He's a very important person.
What do you think the implications are? We have Mr. Kabir Hashim coming in here. Is he going to talk about the 75 billion? Is he going to talk about the 15 billion?
For us, I think the implications, you have to examine implications for the UNP and implications for this government, right? Can the SLP continue this arrangement now that there's very clear evidence? Indications that the UNP has been involved in this thing, right? That's number one. And number two, I think that this issue can be a major, it can make a huge impact on the forthcoming local government elections. And if the media, educate the people of what has really happened in this country since January 2015, I think...
so the media has become the answer to everything now?
Actually, the media is responsible for this situation because, see, before 2015 January, that we were told, the people were told that when you appointed when you introduced 19th amendment to the constitution, everything would be okay.
There are various viewpoints here. One of them says the PM should come forward and or be called to give an explanation, right or wrong. Right? He should give an explanation. Another one says, poses the question, has any bond money ended up in the UNP coffers? That's an interesting one. Another one says, this is very interesting, the Colombo ratepayers should refuse to pay water rates given the wastage by the use of water cannons. Right? Now then, Mr. Malik Samaravikrama, who's parachuted in, Mr. Kabir Hashim, who appears to have just lent his rubber seal and his signature, we'd like to know how they calculated this 15 billion. How did they say that? And how come only one company made an offer mysteriously, lo and behold, for 15 billion?
Yeah, so
perpetual treasuries.
For us now it's obvious, we are repeating the same thing over and over again. Yes. It's obvious that these people, they had the power even to...
It's obvious that they robbed, is that what you're saying?
Obvious for us. See, for us, The chief dealer of the Bank of Ceylon made available 13 billion rupees.
On who say so?
That's the thing. So 13 billion rupees. So the commission, I mean, I was at the commission on Monday, and I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Arjuna Mahendran for about 10-15 minutes. So, I mean...
you spoke to him?
Yeah, I spoke to him.
On the record?
I spoke to him. I mean,
what did he say?
It's not nice for me to discuss what
he told me. So it was off the record then?
No, I just spoke to him about the situation, about the bond scam. You know,
did you ask him the main question? He won't talk to me, but I would ask him. I'd ask him, A, are you a rogue? And B, how much money have you got? Have you made out of this whole nonsense?
No, I didn't ask that. I can't ask
Why
that.
not? It's valid. You could imagine the copy you could have written had he answered.
I met him at the...
Did you ask him about the spend on his credit card, on his central bank issued credit card? Did you ask him about the Pampers he bought in some supermarket?
I spoke to him.
Did you ask him about the jewelry?
No, nothing.
Did you ask him about the 2 million on the jacket?
Did
you ask him why he turned up?
I was just...
Well, you've been nice to him.
No, not nice to him. I just spoke to him there just before the commission started. So, I learned few things.
Yes. Like what?
I can't tell you.
You learned how to fix the bond. Now, honestly, are you going there today?
Hoping to.
Mr. Malik Samarikram is going to be there. Mr. Kabir Hashim. Do you know, I've just thought about it. I'm sure this thought's occurred to you. We have the chairman of the United National Party who is being summoned. There's no smoke without fire. Okay? We have the Secretary General of the United National Party being summoned. There's no smoke without fire. We have the senior deputy leader of the United National Party who's been found out and had to resign his post. And of course, the leader of the United National Party has given him apparently a office in Temple Trees, and he has the same guard as that available to a cabinet minister. That is the state of the United National Party.
And for us, I must add that if you say you made few statements and said indicated that they had done it, then don't forget that the allegations made against the previous government also, right?
Who's forgotten anything? And this is the whole problem. Every time we ask, are you a minister? Because you know what? You sound like one. Because every time we ask them, they say, oh, it was done in the previous law. Does it make it right, Shamindra?
Certainly not for us, but
does it make it right?
I must tell you, when I told you earlier that the COPE and the Public Accounts Committee lack power to summon ministers, there's something wrong with our parliament. Unfortunately, people take incidents and frauds, as isolated cases and examine them. But see, I think the parliament, as a system, the parliament is responsible for the situation. Can you believe the COPE cannot question a minister? Right?
Yes. Well, in response to the last question, the stolen money should be given to the taxpayers. Cost of living has gone up because they stole the money, not the previous government. What do you say to that?
The previous government, if you just go through media reports, how many members of parliament who contested on the UPFA ticket?
The point is that you know...
all these people, all these members of parliament, all major political parties, right, they have robbed this country. Right, now see, just coming back to this bank case, Taiwan bank, it's a very interesting case for us because we don't have diplomatic ties with Taiwan.
Right.
But now what will happen if Taiwan requests Sri Lanka to hand over Mr. Munasinghe to them to carry out investigations, because we don't have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, because China does not want us to have diplomatic ties.
These people are all a bunch of rogues, aren't they? They've got money coming there, $2 million. What is this consultancy that Mr. Munasinghe has done to receive $2 million? What has he done? I don't know. I'm saying.
No, they have hacked the bank.
They've hacked the bank, and it's ended up. And this chap is the chairman of some state-owned outfit. I don't know what. This is another reason why the state shouldn't be in business.
And for us, the media, the island, we carried out the statement, very interesting statement issued by the Litro management.
Yes, the Litro management distances itself from the chairman's involvement, and we being
and the JP wants the president to remove him.
The rest of the directors of the company should ask him to. They should just remove him. Very easily done.
Sure.
Well, surely it's made under the Companies Act. There's a system of removing a director. It can be done. If there's a will, there is a way, and there's the law in our hands.
Yes.
And the questions keep coming in. The stolen money should be given to the taxpayers again. To say it again, another view. Oh, they're all going there. Another view says, has any bond money ended up in the UNP? We had another question similar to that. So there is public concern, public consternation, and the Prime Minister can jolly well come back from Finland or wherever he's gone to.
He was in Germany
on a private visit
to Germany.
Yeah. Does that means he pays? I wonder how he pays for all this. Private visit means that, right? How does he pay? Is he a rich man? Has he got a business?
We have a 70-year-old parliament for us. You know, all these guys, not only the Prime Minister.
I'm just posing
that's the problem. That's the problem. Not only the Prime Minister for us. Yeah. It's a system. Right. It's a system, right? That is why all the people have not amended the standing orders pertaining to COMP. That's why imagine that they protect each other for us.
Can you imagine
the SLP and the UMP? That is why the SLP, most of the people, those who had benefited from the Rajapaksas, who had been with the SLP, switched sides in December 2014, right? The president was the general secretary of the SLP.
But what is sad state of affairs as we wrap up? What is sad state of affairs? The top of the UNP is all involved in all sorts of claims and so on, corruption. The SLFP know better because we had the former leader who's supposed to have stashed away all these billions of rupees and dollars away. One of the sons are remanded for not following the law, right? What on earth is happening? But we can't discuss that anymore because we've come to the end of this half an hour.
Yeah.
But, Shaminda Ferdinando, you'll be on Talk of the Town shortly, and maybe you can come back on a longer program to discuss this matter in earnest. But I do hope you go and get your value for money by going to the Commission of Inquiry. All you need is your national ID card. You get in there and you can sit there and watch Dapula de Oliveira, Yasanta Kodagoda and all the others making sure that your money is well spent, unlike the bond. Thank you, Shaminda Ferdinando. And that's about it from Newsline. Take care. God bless. Thank you to Joel and the team.
News First, Newsline with